everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Jesse, and I run the YouTube channel Jesse the Reader. And I'm sure you guys know who this lovely person is, the beautiful Sarah J. Maas, author of the Throne of Glass series and the Qatar series. But Sarah brought a storm with her tonight. Not only did she bring Empire of Storms, but she brought a literal storm outside.
Look at that! Oh my god! You should be, do you write? You should, because I did not even think about that. I was stuck in traffic, like in the storm. I was like, oh, this blows, man. I should have thought, like, oh, it's the Empire of Storms. Well, yeah, like literally. Well, thanks so much for coming, you guys. I hope the weather wasn't like too crazy when you were driving over. And thanks for doing this event with me, friend. It's like part 2. We had an event together for what, Eric? Was it Qatar? God, it was a long time ago. It was like a year and a half ago. Which, was it Mother's? How do you remember all these details? Oh my God. It's Mother's Day, Qatar tour, great memories. Were any of you guys there at our event? Front of the line pass for all of you. Kidding. But seriously, thank you guys so much for coming out. And do you have like questions for me? Okay, all right. Let's
Are you ready for questions?
I don't know.
Are you?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Scared? You should be. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, first off, just tell us what we can expect from Empire of Storms and what you want readers to get out of it.
Nothing to both. I want you to get nothing out of that experience. So at my launch party for Empire of Storms last week, I don't even know what year it is right now. I kid you not. Well, earlier this summer, I told my husband, who's here somewhere, he can verify this. I was writing down the date, and I was like, you know, July, whatever, like 2015. And he was like, no. No, it's 2016. So I'm like, oh, I'm always on deadline, so I really have a hard time like remembering what year, month, week it is. I don't even know what country I'm in right now. It's like an echoey sound. Is that driving you guys nuts down there?
We're trying to make it.
Wow. All right, that's a little better. All right, so at my launch party like 1,000 years ago, I was asked to describe Empire of Storms in 3 words, and I've started doing that at like every tour stop, which I feel like it was such a huge feat for me to come up with 3 words to describe this ginormous book. Like, my books are so long. We literally had to print Empire on like Bible pages because it was so long. If we bound it with the traditional pages, it would not have fit on a shelf. Like maybe 1 book would have fit on a shelf, which like, yeah, just the one. So we had to switch to these like Bible pages, and I think for the final book, like that'll probably be so long we'll have to print it on like, you know, like blotting paper, like that's super. I think we'll have to print it on blotting paper just to get it all to fit.
You need a blot while you're reading. You're good.
Yeah, it'll be good for like your oil, like if you're sweating a lot, fear for what happens. Oh yeah, that should be our like, you know, pre-order like giveaway, like blotting papers, tissues, chocolates. You heard it here, guys. But the 3 words that I managed to come up with were bloody, which, have you guys, who's read the book? Oh my god, don't you have like cooler things to do with your time? Like, isn't there really good TV on? Have you guys seen Stranger Things? Oh my god. Show like destroyed my life. It's so good, it's so good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it immediately. Like, just leave the event. Bye. See ya. But bloody was the first word I used because, and again, like, no spoilers here. Like, I'll spoil everything through Queen of Shadows, but I won't spoil Empire for you. So if you haven't read Queen of Shadows, tough shiz. But Empire is like pretty bloody, and if you've read the end, it gets fairly brutal. Sorry, not really. Sorry, not sorry. The other word I used to describe Empire was steamy, and not just because it's summertime in the kingdoms, if you know what I mean. I'm the cheesiest person in the world. Oh my god. The steamy stuff, it's always like, it's fun for me to write, but I'm also like firmly in the camp of if you have like graphic violence in a series where like people are brutally murdering each other, then like it's okay to have like some of those characters get some. And like if they're like in love and like it's nice and it's emotional, like I'm all for that. But it's also really funny when I write like the steamy scenes, because in the back of my mind, and I tell people this all the time, in the back of my mind as I'm writing this stuff, like I am thinking, my dad is going to read this, my grandmother is going to read this. And when I wrote A Court of Mist and Fury, like right before it came out, okay, I actually had like, have you guys read A Court of Mist and Fury? Okay, all right. So you know of like the 3-day like sex marathon, basically. All right, so once that book was about to come out, like I saw my grandma like a couple days before the book released, and I gave her like one of my early like finished copies, and I was like, Grandma, you know, you might not want to read this book. It gets like pretty graphic and erotic. And my grandma like looks over at me and she's like, well, that sounds right up my alley. I literally just like stared at her and I was like, I don't think I really know you. Like, I thought I knew you, but like you're an adult woman and I don't know what that means. Like, you're not just granny anymore. Like, but I don't want to know. It's like looking at like it's like coming to the edge of an abyss and deciding you're just gonna walk away, turn around and go back home. So apparently my grandma's cool with the smut. My dad, on the other hand, he told me that when he read A Court of Mist and Fury, he like just skipped over those chapters. And he's read Empire, I think, and he has not even mentioned what he did with those chapters. We're never discussing those chapters, and I'm cool with that. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm glad about that. So as fun as the steamy times are to write, like, having like a family like who I have to like face at dinners and holidays like makes it like a little awkward sometimes. And the final word I used to describe Empire was it's like a cheat word, emotionally devastating, with like a hyphen there. I'm a writer, I can make things up. And like I cried so many tears while writing this book. I cry like with every book I write, but like parts of this, like I had to walk away from my desk. Like parts, it was like the ugly, like hoo 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 tears. Like I cried a lot, but it was also kind of like the payoff book, where a lot of the threads I've been like weaving and like things I've been planting like from the novellas, like they come back in big ways. So a lot of those emotionally devastating moments were also moments where like all this crap comes together finally, and I just was really overwhelmed as like a fangirl of my own books. Like in Queen of Shadows, when Aelin and Manon finally met and they like battled it out, like I was losing my mind. Like I couldn't sit in my chair. I was like, it's happening, they're meeting, like, and it's not going well, and it's wonderful. It's everything I dreamed it would be.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm curious, did any of your characters have different names from like first drafts, and like which characters were they, and like what were their original names, if you did? Well, Selena's always been Selena, and Aelin was always Aelin. Chaol has like a whole history. So I was 16 when I first began writing this series, and when Chaol kind of strolled onto the page, I was gonna name him Chaos. But like even as like a 16-year-old dork, I thought that like that sounded too much like Final Fantasy. Like, so being like really intelligent, I swapped the S for an L, and I was like, oh, everyone will know that this is how you say it, Chaol. So he was Chaol, and his last name was actually like, I can't even like print like Wydrael. It was Wydrael. Wydrael. I don't know. And so like that was his name for like years and years. And when I finally sold the series to my publisher, I was 24, and I started doing edits with my editor. And one of the first things my editor said to me was, "We need to discuss your
issues with naming people and places and things. And Kale was at the top of that list. And well, she was like, well, no one will be able to say this character's name. Chowl, Kale, like, and I said to my editor, like, how dare you? Everyone will know how to say Kale. And my editor said to me, no, I think you're actually, how dare you? My editor said to me, you're wrong. Like, you are wrong about this name. And I said, well, we'll see. We'll see. Like, fast forward to, like, August of 2012 when this book comes out. No one can say that name. My own wonderful husband still can't say his name. Like, he lives with me. Like, he hears these names every single day. And every single day I say, it's K-all. 2 syllables. K-all. And because he's from Philly and he's got this like Philly accent kind of, he just goes, Kale. And I'm like, no, K-all. Kale. Like, I've never met another person with so much difficulty saying this character's name. I'm like glad I can't see him right now because I'm sure he just left. You heard the door slam, that's him. He's done. I threw him, I like always tell this story and like embarrass him. Such a good wife. So Kale was a name that like was there from the start, and I probably should have called him like a hot C name, like Connor or Cameron. Something easy to pronounce, like Cameron, but with like a Y, like fantasy on the like, you know, like. But no. Sometimes I swear that like Tolkien's just like thrashing in his grave. There's like a running joke that like one of y'all once tweeted this to me, where apparently someone on like Tumblr or somewhere like posted something where like, this is how Sarah J. Maas creates her character names. And so the person tweeted me like a screenshot of this post, and the post is basically like keyboard smash. And I was like, oh, that's so mean, but it's also true. Also true. I try to rein myself in to like keep the vowels to like a minimum, but sometimes it's hard. It's my cross to bear.
Okay, so if you had to be bound by a blood oath to one of your characters, who would you choose and why?
Like in both series? Can I say Reese? I'm like literally, my body temperature just went up a little bit. Like, I do like fangirl over my own characters. I would, yeah, if Reese offered me the blood oath, I would say just drain all yeah. I'll spill all my blood for you. No, he doesn't even have to ask. Just, yes, it's done. That is an interesting question though. For the Throne of Glass series, like, if Aylin's off the table, because she'll always be like my queen, Manon. Like, she would be a cruel mistress, I think. Like, I'd be really scared. I'd be like, this is a little rough for me. Like, do you have a shower here? Like, a blow dryer? Like, no. Like, how's your hair look so nice with, like, no product in it, Manon? And she'd be like, just leave me alone, mortal. Don't bother me. Rip your throat out. I'd be, like, the worst member of the 13. I'd be kicked out. I wouldn't even qualify. I'd be in, like, the lowest. I'd be in, like, the cooking coven, like the coven that cooks the meals for everyone and gets like crapped on by the rest of the witches.
Cinderella. Your stepsisters. So it was announced recently that you are writing a book about Catwoman through DC. So what can you tell us about that book? What has the process been like?
So, you guys might know that my schedule's a little busy. Just like a little bit, writing 2 series a year with like really long books that require Bible pages. But when my agent called me up and said DC has approached you about writing a Catwoman novel, it was one of those moments where my gut instinct was to say like, hell yes, and then I was like, like, can my schedule like fit it? Like, you know, can we make it work? And then I literally like thought to myself, when I'm like an old creepy lady sitting on a porch calling the fire department to like find my cat up a tree, and like they need to take their shirts off because like the tree like will get caught like in their shirts. That's my future. I can't wait. Can't wait. When I am that creeper. at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to say to those shirtless firemen, I wrote a Catwoman novel once. These are the real thoughts. You guys thought you were gonna get some like intellectual discussion on like literature? No, never. Not tonight. Oh my god. I have this like weird dry cough that's like popping up, so if I cough on you, you're infected. All of you in the front, good luck. Good luck, it's not fun. But so with the Catwoman novel, I've been working with DC for the past couple of months. I haven't started writing it yet, but what's interesting about the process is that I had to submit like an outline and like a very detailed synopsis to DC to approve, because they need to go through their entire canon of like not just Catwoman but like all the other characters that I brought in. And I was asked to submit a 3 to 4 page synopsis, and I turned in a 22-page synopsis. So you could say I'm like a little bit excited about this project, but then DC like actually approved it like really fast, and according to my editor at Random House who's publishing the book, like she was getting phone calls from people at DC like freaking out about this book. Like the girl power element will be there. I'm a huge fan of Catwoman. She's like really like one of the greatest feminist icons ever. I'm kind of sad that she's been mostly forgotten lately. So like part of me is like, what is like, why did DC bring her back? Like, is there gonna be a movie? I know nothing. And I can't tell you like who's gonna be in it or like what characters might be making an appearance, but it was really like a dream come true project where like I've been the biggest fan of like Batman and like the world of Gotham like my entire life, like more than any other like superhero like world and cast of characters. So getting to not only like reinvent Catwoman but also play in that world that I love so much, like I'm so excited, but also like, holy crap, like, yeah, like it's insane, and like I'm really, really excited for that. That'll be out like, I think August of 2018. Can't do math, so that's like 2 years from now. Yes.
Talking about books, not math tonight. So, so if your characters were aware of the superheroes in our world, who would be their favorites?
Sorry, guys. I feel like Adian would be obsessed with Thor. Maybe he like looks kind of like him. Like Adian and Cassian would be totally into Thor. I think Aelin would be like really into Catwoman and Batman. Aelin will also love Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they're very similar in my mind actually. Like completely like irreverent and fun. Like that dance off in Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, I've like never really cried in like one of those Marvel movies, but Guardians of the Galaxy, like in the first like 10 minutes, I was like sobbing, and then like Groot at the end, like I was like rocking in that like recliner in the movie theater, like banging my feet on like the thing, like sobbing and wailing. Oh my god, I love that movie. And the soundtrack, I had like a couple months where I just listened to that soundtrack like over and over and over again. Dorian would like Iron Man, I think. Kale would like Captain America. They're like the same person, let's be honest. Rowan would like, I think he'd be into like Batman. Who else? Now I'm like running through like the roster. The Hulk, no, who likes the Hulk? No one, not me. Rowan would like Thor too. I have like a type, like all the warrior dudes just like Thor. This, oh my god, he's so hot. Lysandra, I think Lysandra would really like Harley, and Wonder Woman too. And with the Qatar characters, Feyre would like no one. She'd be like, I don't care, but I'd rather be painting than watching this. Yes. Exactly, maybe. And Reese would be into Batman. I think they have like a similar self-sacrificing like obsession. Now I'm thinking about like that last Batman movie with Christian Bale and the ending and my heart. Christian Bale though, like damn. Like his Batman is my favorite ever. Him and like and then Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Those are my two favorites ever.
Okay. ACOTAR was originally supposed to be a trilogy, but you decided to expand on it, so what can you tell us about that?
Absolutely nothing. So it is still a trilogy. Feyre and Rhys's arc will wrap up in book 3. But we signed on for 3 new books and 2 novellas set in the ACOTAR world, and it kind of it wasn't something I'd planned. While I was working on like the earliest pages of the 3rd ACOTAR book, I began writing one of these new books just for fun. I'm like really lazy in every aspect of my life except for writing, and so at the end of the day, when I was done like editing or working on whatever deadline I'd have, just to like blow off any like mental energy I still had, or just like for the hell of it, I would work on this project with these characters that I can't tell you about. And I fell in love with these characters, and I worked on this project because it takes place at some point. And well, if I tell you like when it takes place and who's in it, like it'll spoil like who survives in book 3. And like, but writing this project actually helped me figure out how I wanted book 3 to play out and like how I wanted it to end, so I could set up for a lot of that. So I like went out to dinner with my editor back in May, and I told no one I was working on this project. It really was just for fun and because I loved these characters so much. And I went out to dinner with my editor, and as I was explaining like what happens in book 3, I wound up like, you know, I had a couple adult beverages, and I wound up like confessing to her, like, you know, like, I'm so sorry, but I've been working on this project like in my spare time. And I explained that project, and then like the other 2 books, and then the novellas that I had, like the ones I had planned out in my head. And she loved the idea so much that a couple weeks later I got a call from my agent saying that she wanted to buy them. And I was getting really bummed out because I was working on the 3rd book, and like the idea of saying goodbye to those characters in that world after only 3 books felt like really short and like sad to me. So I said yes, sign me up for that. And so those will start coming out 2018, maybe the first book. I don't know. Can't remember. I'm bad with years, obviously. But I am really excited about those. Like some might be like spin-offs, some might be like prequel type things. But you'll see who makes it in book 3, who might be available for a story. Book 3 is done, so I know everything. You guys know nothing.
Okay, so Empire of Storms is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, meaning that this next book is going to be the last one. So what can we expect with this last book? Are you ready to say goodbye to these characters? Are we going to get a spin-off series?
I'm not emotionally prepared to write the final book. Oh my god. I'm like, I cry like all the time. Like I cry every single day, which is why my eyes are like really healthy, probably. This is actually filled with all of my tears that I had. The 6th Throne of Glass book, which I haven't started writing yet, I think it'll be like a really like bittersweet journey for me, and just the thought of like making that Word document, like hitting those keys on the keyboard to like open up a new document, like that will be such a huge moment for me, like opening up that Word document for the last time, creating the file for the last time, like because I've been working on this since I was 16 and I'm like 30 now, so that's 4,000 years that I've been working on this book. And it'll be like really like hard, I think, to say goodbye to the characters, like maybe like literally if they all die. And I think after all these years, I think some part of me like will be glad to like have that kind of closure and to like have it be kind of the end of like a journey that took me from like being a high schooler dreaming of being published to now like having events where people like show up. And so in some ways like it'll feel like very satisfying, but in also like my whole life, like, you know, that I can remember for, you know, the past million years has been about these books and these characters and working on this, and it'll be tremendously hard to like write every word of that, I think, because I will be constantly thinking of that. Like this is the last time I write like, you know, like chapter 18 of this book. It'll be like totally overwhelming, but I don't think I'll ever close the door to that world, because I know that there are still stories that I want to tell. And I have an ending in mind. I've had it in mind for years and years now. And I have a last line. Yeah, so I think like when I finally write that last line, I will just like go lie down in bed and not get out of it for like a couple months. But it'll be wonderful to like have that accomplishment and like, you know, finish writing a 6 or I guess 7 book series if you count the novellas. But also like I don't want to say goodbye. I'm not ready. Like I love everyone. Like just be like weird, like life without like Aelin constantly bossing me around, like ruining my plans. But it'll be hard. I think it'll be really hard for me to write that last book, but I'll get through it. I'll power through. I'll have like 20 gallons of my tears by the end.
All right, we're now going to open up to audience Q&A. So if you guys have a question, go ahead and raise your hand.
Hey girl.
Right, okay.
So if you were Lysandra, who would you shift into? Your characters, and then also just like in general, whether it's a character or a person.
The question was, if I was Lysandra, who would I shapeshift into, like both like generally and like as one of my characters? So generally, my answer is always God's finest creature, the Velociraptor. Who I would be. I'm not even joking. Someone gave me a stuffed Velociraptor at my launch party, and I named it Sarah Jr. She's beautiful and magnificent, and I sleep with her every night now. But if I had to shapeshift into one of my characters, ooh, I think I'd want to like shapeshift into. Okay, from each series. All right, Throne of Glass. I'd want to be Manon with those like iron teeth and like the nails you can like flick out. Like, can you imagine like doing that to people on the street? Just being like, yeah, it would be amazing. Oh my god. Though I feel like the iron nails with like long hair would be like a disaster. And for the Qatar series, I don't know, like I want to say like Reese, but then like I would just be like fondling myself. What these abs feel like. But I would love to be able to like fly, so like maybe I'd be like Feyre, who can like do so many things and like summon wings and then like put them away, because like your back muscles would probably hurt from holding up those wings if you're not like built for it. Or maybe like little Amryn, because like she scares everyone. Like I basically like want to be horrible creatures, I think, because I am like the least threatening, silliest person. Amryn is like the devil, and I love her.
Right, anybody else? Let's go with you, right there.
Okay, so in the Throne of Glass series, can you have more than one mate, or can you only have one?
Okay, in the Throne of Glass series, can you have more than one mate, or can you only have one?
Have you read Empire?
No.
Have fun! You can be front of the line, so you can just go home and read. I'm kidding. I don't know who's number 1 in line. They won't be happy, but I'm not gonna tell you, but if you read the book, you'll find some answers to something.
Do you write chronologically, or do you write like pivotal scenes first and then fill it in?
The question is, do I write chronologically, or do I write pivotal scenes first and then fill it in? I do write chronologically, and I edit chronologically too. For me, just like as a writer, I need to do it chronologically because, like, I mean, like from like page 1 until the end, because I need to get into my characters' heads and their hearts, and like if I'm jumping around, like I lose that emotional current. So I need to go on that journey with them, like from that first page until the last one. So like Heir of Fire was really like one of the hardest books that like I've ever written, because getting into Aelin's headspace at the like beginning of that book was like so dark and like so broken and so sad, and I had to open myself up, like some parts of myself that like I did not want to open up, and I basically bled all over the page, and I bled alongside Aelin with that. But then I kind of I did that journey with her where I walked through that darkness and back to the light, which was a very long and very exhausting journey, also very empowering, but having to do that not just when I drafted the book, but then like the 20 million times that I revised it like over and over again. I called it the Migraine Book because I cried so hard that I had a constant migraine while I was writing it. But I think it works for me because it really does let me like get into their heads and like their souls, and go on all those journeys with them. The question is, where are the gods? Wherever they want to be.
Because the mirror, because you're all like smoky and foggy, I'm like, do they live there?
No, the gods are like the gods are kind of like. Oh, this is a spoiler. Okay, I almost just said some things I shouldn't have said. If you guys haven't read Empire, I won't spoil it for you, but I'll come up during the signing and I'll tell you, okay? No one listened to us when we talk about it.
So with Court of Thorns, the Rose and Throne of Glass, do you plan on linking them, like some distant ancestry at all, or is there anything like that?
So the question is, do I plan to link the Throne of Glass and Qatar series, and are they like linkable, basically? So they don't exist on the same planet, and they don't exist in the same solar system. I kind of imagine them as existing in the same like megaverse, where like if you guys know like string theory, like the idea that like worlds like overlap, like I imagine like they're on just like different planes of existence, and so you could technically like open a word gate and like walk into the world of Qatar, and like do I have plans for that to happen? Like I don't know, like you'll see. Like I never say never, and I do like the thought of like Aelin meeting like Reese and that whole gang. Like God help everyone involved.
So now that Throne of Glass is being turned into a TV show, do you have someone in mind to play Aelin?
So the question is, now that Throne of Glass is becoming a TV show, do I have someone in mind to play Aelin? I don't really. For me, it's more about like the acting ability, and you know, the people that are putting the TV show together, they're the professionals. So I'm gonna trust them, and I don't know how involved I'll be with the TV show. If you guys haven't heard, it's gonna be a TV show. And oh my god, I'm like so excited. It's like still a long road, like many hoops to jump through with that. But the team that like is bringing this to Hulu, like they are just amazing. The writer, her name's Kira Snyder, and she was one of the writers and producers for The 100. Yeah, The 100 is one of my like biggest obsessions of all time. And the director, her name is Anna Forster, and she's done like so many amazing projects, but more recently she directed the wedding episode of Outlander, along with some of the best Outlander episodes of like the series. And I am so excited that they're like working on these books, but I'm also really excited that there are so many women involved in bringing these books like to the TV. And they get it. Like I've had many conversations with them, and like they get what these books are about, like especially like the female empowerment angle, and they are like very dedicated to making sure they do that right. And so I can't wait to see like what they do and like how they bring the world like to life, but also like the characters. And I mean, again, like it's still like a long shot. Like Hulu's like picked it up, but like, you know, they still could like decide, no, this sucks, goodbye. But I'm really hoping that it comes together, because I'm a huge TV fan, and like one of my favorite things to do if I'm not writing is to like plant my ass on the couch and like binge watch a show. Which, like, Stranger Things, that was basically what happened to me. Now I own like 20 Stranger Things t-shirts. My whole life is about that show. So I'm really happy that like it's gonna be with Hulu, or like I think it'll be like, you know, the streaming where you can just kind of binge, which is, yes. Dorian or Kale? Can both of them be with me in a room with no one else? I will take Them both. You know I can't answer that.
All right, we're gonna take like 2 more questions. You right there? Yeah.
In the Throne of Glass series, which book was your favorite to write?
Oh, so the question is, in the Throne of Glass series, which book was my favorite to write? I mean, I really had fun writing Empire because there was so many like payoffs in that book. Like again, like all the things that I've been planting and like weaving together for years finally came together in that book. But like on an emotional level, again, like with Heir of Fire was a book that I really like had to delve deeply like into myself to write. And that one like really like has like a special place in my heart. But I also like I love all the books though, and like I have to love them because I have to like read them like 20,000 times before they like make it onto a shelf. And the newest book is usually like my most favorite book. But there's something about Heir of Fire where I'm still like very proud of that book and like the journey that Aelin goes on in that book. It really meant a lot to me like when I wrote that, and I didn't anticipate like when I started to write that like so much of me would wind up like woven between the words, and that I would have to like give so much of myself to write that book. But I think because I worked so hard on it, like, and I work hard on all my books, but there was something like very like intensely emotional about that book, so it has a special place in my heart.
You back here. Last question.
Are the Illyrian wings, are they like bat wings?
Question is a very serious and important question. Are the Illyrian wings bat wings? Yeah, they're like the bat type wings. Like they're not feathered. They're like more like membrane. I'm like holding like as if you could see. It's like membrane, like demon wings, kind of like that kind of look. They're not so they're not like cute feathered wings. They're like kind of like scary looking. Like, have you seen like Fantasia? You know, like Night on Bald Mountain, like the scary ass one. Like, you know, like the devil. I guess he's the devil. Who like he has giant wings that like look like those kind of bat wings that are like not like webbed but membrane. Yeah, they're badass looking though. There might be more creatures with wings coming in book 3. The wings of the feathered kind. So, wings all around. All right. Well, before we wrap up, I have like one little announcement. Do you mind being like my Vanna White and displaying this for me? So at every event I've gone to, okay, this is Cheerleader Barbie cover, by the way. This was the early cover that we got rid of, thank God. So at every event I've gone to since Throne of Glass first came out in August 2012, where I had 20 people in the audience and like 10 of them were my family, I have had people sign my copy. And it's like guest book, yearbook, whatever, like all rolled into one. And I would love it if you guys could sign it tonight. We'll have like a table or something set up so that when you leave you can sign it. But basically, I tell people this all the time, if my house was burning and my dog was safe and my husband can take care of himself, so not my problem. Love you, honey, wherever you are in here. This would be the one thing that I would grab. And you don't have to write in here if you don't want to. You can draw something. Some dude wrote his like phone number in here once. Yeah, so there's a video of this. So I found this guy's message. Sometimes I'll flip through it and read the messages, and I found this guy's message where it was so creepy. It was like, had such a great time tonight. Call me Joe. And like the number, like he wrote his phone number. And so I did an event with Christine, Poland Bananas, in, what was it? I think it was this past May. And I was telling her about, like at the end of the sign, I was telling her about this guy who wrote his number in there. And I had no idea who it was. I didn't know like when that had been written. And so the security guard like came over during the event. And he's like, well, let's call up Joe. And Christine like has this all on film. Like it's, if you go on YouTube, you can see as a security guard calls up this number, and Joe or whatever picks up, and the security guard just like starts screaming into the phone. He's like, why did you put your phone number in Sarah J. Maas's book? And like I get so uncomfortable and like awkward. I just like grab the phone and I'm like, hey Joe, it's Sarah J. Maas. So sorry that we bothered you. Goodbye. And I wanted to die. Like I wanted to like turn into a like puddle of goo and like slither down a drain and into the ocean and like dissolve into nothing. So if you write your number in here, there's a good chance you'll get an angry phone call call from a security guard, and it will go on the internet one day. God bless you, Christine, for that. That was a night of many exciting things. I was sorted into Hufflepuff that night. Biggest surprise of my life, also the greatest blessing. That's a story for another day. But so you can write in here, you can draw in here if you don't want to write anything. You don't have to, but it would mean a lot to me if you did, because I really do consider this my most prized possession. I'm hoping it'll last until the final Throne of Glass book, because space is kind of tight, so write wherever you can. And yeah, we'll have this up here somewhere. But thank you all so much for coming, and thank you, wonderful Jessie, for being a great moderator, as usual.
Hey Reader fam, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and feels on Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas.